Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. Well, it is a beautiful, gorgeous fall day. This is what October days are supposed to be like, in the 60s, just warm, color everywhere, and fantastic. So let's take our weekly walkabout and check out and see what's going on in the garden. We definitely have had some cold temperatures, and so some of the leaves are falling and all of the colors are changing still, and we're starting to head into, a whole different look. All right, let's get started. Well, here at the edge of the deck, you can see that our beautiful grasses are still looking fantastic. And in fact, they have even colored up a little bit yellow, a little bit brown, a little bit rusty. And I have to say that the colors on this raspberry are really beautiful, and I've continued to harvest handfuls day after day. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping, but there are definitely birds and animals running around all over right now in preparation for storing their food, and they're enjoying this lovely day just as much as me, I think. Most of the hydrangeas are actually starting to take on some of that more parchment paper color now as the frosts have come through. We've had so much rain, and so they're definitely changing over. But they're still beautiful and provide a lot of interest. Even with the cool nights though, the alyssum that is in the potager garden is blooming prolifically, and it's just covering the pathways so beautifully. Isn't that cute? We're still getting some blooms from the geraniums. I'm hoping to be able to pull these out and rescue them before we have a hard freeze. I have already taken some geraniums inside and got them down under my grow lights, so that's working pretty well. Over here you can see the Virginia is really starting to turn colors. And then we have some heuchera tucked in there as well. So gorgeous. And this smoke bush, which is one of the, I think they call it royal purple. I could be getting that wrong, you guys. But this one has come back. I actually cut it all the way down to the ground last year, and it came back this year. Nice and small and pretty, so that's a good option. I might do that again next year just to keep it small and tidy. Well, I will say that the Tian Shan 7 sunflower bushes are looking gorgeous. We didn't look at them last week, but you can see that the bracts on these have just turned a beautiful, beautiful color. And there's so many more of them even this week that they make an even bolder statement. There hasn't been any damage to them really either through the cold and the wet. They just continue to thrive. And here you can see the other one. We're getting some change over on our hibiscus here. Very yellow. Some years they're kind of orange, some they're kind of maroon. This year, very yellow. And you can see we have some seed heads on there that are going to dry if we leave these upright throughout the winter. And you can actually harvest those seeds. So even though they are a perennial, if you want to, I have harvested them and planted them. I made a seedling for my sister this last year. The lady's mantle is still looking really nice and green right now. So that's a pretty tough plant. And it's surrounded by the burgundy glow ajuga as a ground cover. And I think this half moon garden right now is still looking really nice. We've got the beautiful glow of these privets right here. And these actually will retain some of their leaves throughout the winter. So that will be really nice. You can see that our fig is still all green. I haven't gotten much growth on the little baby figs that are on the tree. I've gotten a lot of questions about this one, so I'm just going to repeat again that this is the Violet de Bordeaux, and it is hardy down to zone 5B and dies back each winter, but then regrows from the base. It might get hardier over time, I don't know, but that's been my experience for the last few years. Just look at the magic carpet of beautiful leaves on this garden bed right now. I know soon I'll need to clean them up, but I'm waiting because that tree that is up above there still has lots and lots of leaves on it. And after they all fall, we will come through and we will suck them up and we will mulch them and put them back into the garden bed to help feed the soil. But I think it looks so pretty right now. I love the sound of the leaves that crunch under your feet. And throughout the garden we have deutzia bushes. This one is beginning to turn a bit of a purple burgundy, deep color. And they all kind of turn that color as well. And you can see kind of the glowing of the hostas in the distance here, the ones that have turned over to kind of a yellow gold. It's really I don't know what they call that, maybe a harvest gold. It's so pretty. And now you can see this autumn jubilee 9-bark taking on a little bit of color finally. Still not all the way there, but definitely starting to glow from within. And all the beautiful leaves scattered throughout this garden bed as well. And before you couldn't see the hellebores in this garden bed too well, but now they really stand out because all of the other perennials have either died back or I've cut them back or dug them out, and they look really pretty. Throughout this garden bed you'll also see that the ajuga is acting as a ground cover. The pink diamond hydrangea now is yellow and a little bit of orange tinges on it. And it's just beautiful. This is a gorgeous scene right here. I will be coming through and cleaning up more hostas because as you can see, they really are starting to get hit. It's just about time. Once you see them start to fall down to the ground like that, the stems have weakened and they're really easy to pull out. And I'll need to come through and clean up my hanging baskets, which have been hit for sure. I could have brought in that Purple Prince Alternatia, which is the purple or reddish purple colored foliage here, but I just didn't get to it in time. It probably still could be rescued if I wanted to, but I don't think it's worth the work. But the lungwort are continuing to stay nice and green, and you can see I divided them and I have the 2 new ones there doing very, very well. We have another hellebore over here that is actually starting to bloom, and it was interesting. I heard from many of you that you have confused hellebores as well, so I find that very interesting. We've had such strange weather with it getting warm and then cold and then warm and cold again, and I think that's just confusing to nature. Look at that glow right there. Now, if I had to cut back all these hostas last week, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy that. I just think it's gorgeous. Look at that massive hosta with that harvest gold, almost an orange on this one. So beautiful. Not everybody thinks it is, but that's just my opinion. I think it's great. We're seeing lots of seed heads on these Hakona chloe grass. These are sterile seeds. They will not actually grow a new plant, but they are beautiful. And they will dry gorgeous too for over the winter. The Pinky Winky looks nice. So many colors all together. This one hasn't gone over to the parchment paper color all the way yet. But I will leave the blooms on this plant. I will not cut those off because they actually will handle the snow load just fine because they don't have as many of those infertile flower bracts, because these are what actually hold on to the water and hold on to the ice and snow. So because there's so many other little fertile blooms within there, it just kind of passes through it and does just fine. You can see the reds on the Virginia over here also, and the pretty little leaf petals scattered around. I just think that makes for magic on paths. I love leaf litter. The astilbes have turned a little bit yellow. Getting more glow from hostas over here. And this Annabelle hydrangea is still looking lovely because it's in a very protected area underneath the trees, so it doesn't really catch the cold quite so much. So its flowers are still looking beautiful. Look at the beautiful foliage on this plant. This is Heaven Sent. It's a polemonium, and I've showed this the last couple of weeks, I believe, but it just continues to change color, and it's beautiful. Looking forward to dividing that one and having more of that throughout the garden. And the colors on this Let's Dance Can Do hydrangea have turned even from a deep purple leaf to more of a reddish maroon color. But the flowers are just stunning next to it, aren't they? I think it's beautiful. Many of the hostas in this garden bed are now looking like they are almost ready to be pulled out. And like I said last week, I'm really looking forward to this because it will definitely look a lot cleaner after I get them out. And then we'll start to see some of the other things really show up more, like the weeping Norway spruce that we have here. That one will begin to show, and then we have some euonymus that are tucked in this garden bed that you don't really see during the summer, that I have just kind of hanging out, and then they begin to really show up in the fall and winter and early spring when all of these other herbaceous perennials begin to die back. We'll see the pieris and this euonymus. So we have a few of those tucked throughout here. And now you can see that we finally got some color on our Fothergilla over here. Isn't that lovely? It's gone yellow and even with some brilliant red and orange in there. And I think it's still going to change some more. Hoping to get more growth out of that one next year, as it will be its second full year next year. This is really its first full year. I planted that last fall. So it hasn't really taken off yet. Now you can see that this hydrangea right here has definitely gone over to the parchment color, and this is a firelight. This one is not in a protected area, so it's definitely gotten a lot of rain and cold in the last couple of weeks. Lots of little red berries everywhere still on the honeysuckle bushes. And now our Diamond Rouge hydrangea has finally caught up to the other one that was on the deck. You can see the beautiful fall colors on the foliage of this plant. Not all hydrangeas give this color, but I find that this one has really nice fall colors, so it's definitely a bonus for this time of year. And I didn't get to the Roseanne geranium, but guess what, you guys? It's putting out some beautiful new blooms, so I'm kind of happy about that because there's not a lot of new blooms that are happening in other places in the garden. Isn't that amazing? We're talking almost November, and I have a pollinator hanging out in the middle of my geranium blooms. Pretty cool. Now we do have some color as well on the Quickfire, not as red as the Diamond Rouge, but still beautiful. Kind of a burnt orange. And this Tuscano Barberry has some bright foliage colors within as well. Some mums all throughout the garden bed. And would you believe it? a beautiful couple of roses on my Eden climbing rose. Here's one right here, looking just lovely. It started coming out last week. And then one further down over here. So fun to see these last minute pops of color. You can even see the dianthus down here at the base of the rose is having a little bloom, a couple little blooms on those. I planted those this year. Those are the purple telstar dianthus that I bought just as a flat of annuals, and really they're actually short-lived perennials, so I plant them throughout the garden. Here we have the opening day viburnum, and just look at the drama on that foliage. So deep and dark and moody. Beautiful. And then we got a clematis bloom. Right up there. Now our vanilla strawberry hydrangea has nice golden foliage, and all of its blooms have turned to the parchment color, so it's a whole different color palette now. And it actually shows off a little bit more. You can see how I tied up the branches. I've gotten questions about that. Here's how they were tied together to help hold themselves up. So just using its natural growth pattern. And when I clip off all of these, I will definitely clip those tapes so that tape will not stay on throughout the winter. The freeze, frost, whatever you want to call it, that we got definitely nipped off all of the buds that were on this can-do hydrangea, but the foliage still looks beautiful. And the Japanese maple here next to the quickfire have some beautiful color too. Haven't been able to get to lawn mowing yet because of all of this rain. But you can see we still have some color over here with the roses as well. These are the all the rage roses. These are by Easy Elegance brand. They're definitely facing south now to be able to grab any last bits of sunshine that they can get. Just so pretty. And to show you our fall containers, the potato vines have died back now. But as you can see, the frost freeze does nothing to the kale or broccoli. They just live right through that and are happy with it, as are the grasses, which are putting out more plumes this week. Well, you guys, what do you say? Let's head out to the front garden and see what's happening there. So here we are looking at the burning bush, which is finally starting to look like a burning bush. And I just want to give a little forewarning here. We're going to come out into the front garden and we're going to see some Halloween decor. So if you're not into spooky things, maybe you don't want to watch this, but there will be some Halloween decor because of the haunted house that we're putting on this season. You can see some of the building materials there. Lots of yellow leaves glowing on this hydrangea. And then you can see this garden has become spooky. We have used some of the trellises to put some spooks on. It looks like they've been flipped around a bit in the rain and wind. But it's definitely a spooky garden with lots of mums in it still. These just keep giving and giving. They have been blooming for about, a good month now, I would say, maybe even longer. So they are definitely well worth trying to grow in your garden if you like them. You can see the switchgrass back there is starting to turn a golden yellow. There's one of our spookies. You can actually see his face. These are lit up at night and they make it very, very spooky and fun. You can see we're losing our leaves on this crab apple now. A lot of the fruit is still remaining and that will be eaten very soon by all of the animals and creatures that are coming through for their fall forage. And just look at the colors on these barberries as they change over. It's almost like a rainbow of colors. This garden bed is still holding strong, looking beautiful. The mums are in full bloom now in this garden bed. I actually have a coneflower that is trying to come up in bloom as well. Again, just a little bit of season confusion happening around here. And the front garden beds are looking beautiful still. You can see we have a graveyard happening in the front here with zombies and such coming out. So we'll have quite a few people come through here on Halloween, usually a couple of hundred. And just look at that glowing Japanese maple back there. Isn't that beautiful? So stunning this time of year. We really got some good color on it this season. Some years are better than others, and I feel like this year's been a good one. Even the weeping cherry has some oranges and reds in it. And if you thought that the oak leaf hydrangea was gorgeous last week, well, just look at it firing up now. Some really intense colors happening. The bobos have lost pretty much all their leaves, but they still have their blooms on them. I do usually leave these up during the winter time because they don't have quite as big of florets on them, but I do watch them because if they look like they're going to be damaged, I will come out and clip them off. I don't want to lose like height or bushiness off of it because of the weather. Isn't this pretty though? Now we hang Halloween lights on this as well so that this is lit up. We have a lot of different blues and purples and different colors. And these hostas, this is perfect. This is exactly what they should look like when I'm ready to pick them up. It takes nothing to pick that whole group up all at once. Some beautiful scabiosa flowers in bloom. And look at this viburnum. This is the wabi-sabi viburnum taking on some more color now too. What a picture of fall. Never, ever is any year the same as the year before. There's always something that's changing in the garden as things get replaced or changed out, or they grow. And I have to say the impact of this oak leaf hydrangea has just increased exponentially this year. Now if we look over to our new garden bed, you will see we have lost pretty much all of the leaves on our maple tree over here. That's pretty much done. Now I'm going to come through and plant some bulbs soon, and I definitely want to hit that garden bed. That one's going to need to be filled up with some beautiful things. And over here we still have some beautiful hostas glowing, and the Let's Dance Can Do blooms look lovely. I may come through and harvest some of the ones that have kind of fallen down onto the ground but have beautiful colors in them, and keep them as dried flowers. I don't want to cut too many off, maybe just those 3, because I want to make sure that we have plenty of old wood to get as early blooms as possible if we can on that. You can see how the glowing of the hostas is really having an impact in this garden bed too this week. Do you guys like the glow of the hostas, or are you someone who prefers to just cut it all back when it's still upright? I know sometimes they kind of go slimy and it's hard to resist and you just have to clean them up, but do you leave them up as long as you can, or do you prefer to get after it as quickly as possible? Now look at this fothergilla and the colors on that. This is the Mount Airy fothergilla, so this is the same variety that I have in the back garden that I showed you. That is not quite as intense of color. This one we just planted this year, so it may look different next year. We have lots of leaf litter over in this garden bed, which again I happen to think is absolutely beautiful. Hopefully you all are enjoying some of the sounds of the leaves as I kind of wander about through the garden. And this viburnum also is beautiful still. Still has its leaves on it, holding on, but gorgeous, gorgeous color. And this will get 6 to 8 feet tall. So I expect that next year, which will be its, let's see, this is its second year because I planted it last year. So next year will be like kind of going into its third season. A lot of these shrubs I plant in fall because I get them on clearance. So yeah, it should be its third year next year. Should put on some nice growth, I think. And these hostas, the golden tiara hostas back here, these are absolutely ready for me to clean up as well. So we'll be getting after that soon. And that will look beautiful afterwards. We'll still have the boxwoods to look at and the gorgeous grasses on either side of the bird bath. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this fall walkabout in October, at the very end of October, and that you've had a great month. It's been a little bit tough over here with all of the cold and rain, but with this kind of day today, it's just one of those days you have to take advantage of and get outside. So whenever you have them, I hope you're grabbing some sunshine and getting out in your garden. Well, we'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye.